I didn't know that. The world, most precisely the universe, is filled with things we ignore. However, this is not an excuse when it comes to studying, understanding, or trying to understand human beings, especially the ones right next to us, the ones we love, work with, or live with, among others. Trying to find answers in order to build better experiences as we move on in this life can make our lives something more beautiful to enjoy. Today, we'll try to understand autism. Let's start by saying that there is a lot of information out there that's not true. There are many myths about autism that we have to start debunking through education. This is not to say that we understand every single detail about autism, but it's important to mention what we do know it's not true. So let's start. Number 1. Autism is caused by vaccines. There's no scientific finding that demonstrates that those vaccines applied at an early age, measles, mumps, and rubella, cause autism. Number 2. All people with autism are incredibly skillful or smart. Some people with autism have exceptional skills or abilities in certain areas, for example, math, music, memory, etc. But that doesn't mean that everybody in the spectrum has special abilities. Number 3. Autism only happens in childhood. Autism is normally diagnosed in childhood. However, many adults continue to face challenges. This is the reason why support and therapy are needed. Number 4. People with autism lack empathy. The fact that understanding or expressing emotions is challenging for some people with autism doesn't mean that they don't have empathy. Some of them actually tend to be more empathetic than a regular person. And number 5. All individuals with autism are similar. No, this is probably the worst assumption of all. Autism is a spectrum, a very broad one, by the way. This disorder affects people in very unique ways, varying degrees. So, although there are many characteristics associated with autism, it's unfair to categorize people in one word and to expect to see all those common behaviors in every single person with autism. Anyways, let's talk about what autism is. Autism, or autism spectrum disorder, is a developmental disorder that can affect communication, social interaction, behavior, and sensory processing. As we mentioned before, it's called a spectrum because there are many different symptoms and severity levels that vary a lot from person to person. Each person with autism is unique. It doesn't matter if they share some characteristics. It is believed that autism comes from a combination of genetic, environmental, and neurological factors, but this is still not fully understood. That's the reason why we still have many myths about it. As you can see, autism is a very complex topic, and I'd like to share the following example to prove my point. Women are less diagnosed with autism than men. There are many reasons why this happens, and some are differences in symptoms, diagnostic bias, and diagnostic criteria. But the two most important reasons from where I stand are masking and camouflaging behaviors and societal expectations. The first one happens because some girls with autism could develop coping mechanisms in order to fit in with their friends, so they might be mimicking social neurotypical behaviors. And the second one is because autism is usually linked to problems in socialization, and women tend to be more social because of the way they're brought up. Things like being empathetic and compliant could mask difficulties with social interactions. So, these characteristics or challenges some people with autism face can be really hard for some, to the point in which they think that social isolation is their only option. However, education for people with autism and neurotypicals is very crucial. Society must offer early intervention possibilities for kids to have the chance to get behavioral, speech, and even occupational therapy. We should offer true inclusive education where they are cared for as much as needed. They should have the chance to develop their social skills, to have places that accommodate to their sensory needs, and of course, as I mentioned before, we should promote acceptance, respect, and understanding. To finish this long video, I'd like to invite parents and future parents to pay close attention to your kids. I'd like you to try to identify early signs of autism for you to make better decisions about your kids' lives. Focus on your kids' social abilities, language development, understanding nonverbal cues, identifying repetitive behaviors, fixation on specific interests or topics, becoming upset when routines are changed, sensory sensitivities, and more. Basically, I recommend you to do your job, do your research to learn about this important topic. Autism, depending on the severity, is not always a sign of challenge. This is why it's important to identify it at an early age to be able to offer the best opportunities to our children.